Awesome. Oh, it looks like we're live. Sweet. Yep. All right. Well, give us a minute, guys. We're posting and sharing to all the different places. What's up? Thank y'all so much for being here. My name is Matt Latham, and I am a board-certified master arborist and tree expert of some sort, registered consulting arborist, tree risk assessment qualified, TPAC qualified, tree plant appraisal qualified. Nobody cares about any of that. What matters is, can I help you with your trees? And the answer is absolutely. May not be the answer you want, but we're going to give it our best tonight. What do we got at Lucas? We got Lucas is here. He's my right-hand man. He is in my ear right now, making sure I don't screw things up too much. That's a pine. Yeah. I don't even know what plant this is. That's an easy one. Pine. Multiple pine trees in a bundle. All right, I'm just scrolling, you guys. We're just getting set up and ready to rock and roll. Tonight, we've got a beautiful night. Did y'all know we are currently, that's fun. We're currently at about almost 1,300 people. Now, we started, 7 months ago or so, Lucas? Give or take. I don't remember exactly, but 7 months or so. This last week, we had our biggest growth week ever, and it just seems to be going more and more every single week. And it's all thanks to you guys. So first of all, just a huge shout out to you guys. So thank y'all so much for being here. We would not be able to do this without you guys. And just kind of a brief overview, we started doing these live streams, quite frankly, because y'all just overwhelmed me. I was trying to answer everything, typing my little heart out, and I just couldn't keep up. So we decided, you know what, we better just get online and just go do a live stream and help these people out, because y'all need help. Nothing personal. But it's, that would be like me saying, y'all need help with your taxes. Yeah, you should probably hire a tax guy to help you out with your taxes. You may know a lot about taxes, but if you're not a tax guy, that's probably not a great idea. So same with your trees. Turns out a lot of people trust their landscapers to take care of their trees. And there was a joke that I used to hear it all the time. I haven't heard it so much lately, but they said, hiring your landscaper is like to do your trees is like hiring your dentist to do your brain surgery. They probably got the right tools. That doesn't mean we should. So, I started this group as a way to just answer your questions. I know there's so much terrible, terrible, terrible information out there about trees. And it turns out there's a lot of guys out there doing research and figuring out how do trees function and why do they do the things that they do. And, and as a result, we can adjust our strategies to make sure we have healthy, thriving trees. Because let's face it, trees are very important to us human beings, right? They are, they provide, if nothing else, guys, we build our friggin' houses out of them. So it's important that we keep them healthy and thriving. But on top of that, did you know cancer patients recover about 20% more rapidly and more frequently when they have a window, just a window with a treed view. That's how much trees play an impact on our mental well-being and our overall health. They're so vitally important for us. I mean, they cool our homes. They provide mental health benefits out the wazoo. Crime rates are actually reduced in neighborhoods with, with mature trees. And it's what's interesting is, and I deal with some political games where people want to cut down the old and put in the new trees, and the crime rates go up when you do that. So it's important that we preserve what we have. So we're here to answer all of your tree care questions. Just a little backstory. I started doing what we call telemedicine for trees back in, 2018 or so. When quite frankly, I just got tired of driving around because I lived in Dallas, and Dallas is a lot like Houston. You got Dallas and Fort Worth. You got an hour to 2 hours between each city. And Houston, the joke is it takes an hour to get from Houston to Houston. And I heard that the other day. I love it. It's so true because I spend so much of my time driving around Houston, helping my neighbors out here in the area. And a lot of that is because I genuinely believe that the trees are very, very important. My wife is saying my camera's shaking real bad. Thank you for that, darling. I appreciate the heads up. And maybe because my knee is right there. touching my desk. I'm just being comfortable. And oh, what's up, JK? Hey, thanks for joining us too. So hopefully that's better, my love. I'll stop shaking the table there. But yeah, we're glad to be here. And like I said, the reason we did this is to help you answer your tree questions, because quite frankly, it's a brave new tree world out there. There's so much misinformation out there. And so we're here to dispel those myths. We've got some great people out there. Thank you, love. My wife's telling me I'm not shaking the table as much, which in turn shakes my camera. And so we're here to dispel some myths and help you guys with your unique questions, because quite frankly, trees are living, breathing, eating organisms just like you and I, completely different though. So we want to help make sure that your trees are healthy and thriving, so that you can love and live under them in peace and safety. And obviously, you know, the joke in the industry is the only safe tree is a chipped tree. But so we inherently take on some risk when we live under trees. But quite frankly, it's trees are great. They provide so many countless benefits to us. Quite frankly, you like breathing, right? I know I do. And trees produce oxygen. So let's get right into it. We've got just a little business to deal with. We did draw our winners. Now we reached 1,000. What was that? A week and a half ago now, Lucas? We're growing too fast, you guys. Like week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And we reached 1,000 members, and that is unbelievable. So we decided to do a little drawing. That's funny. I saw that, Lucas. With the amount of knowledge Matt provides, you could probably pass the test. No, but there is a fellow on here that does a great job of teaching arboriculture. I'm not here to teach the arborist, although you're welcome to join me on this journey. I like going deep on some of this stuff and teaching this stuff, but that's not my job. There's a guy named Lindsay, and he is the go-to guy. He's a great guy and does a program called Tree U. We've got some unbelievable talent in the arboricultural world here. So anyways, we did do the drawing, and we've got a first place winner who's getting a 30-minute consultation with your trees. That's Ryan Mishaw. Second place winner gets a full tree planting package. That's Santino Altolini. Excuse my pronunciation is terrible there. And then we've got Monica Quarto. Both of you guys are getting a bottle of the Super Seaweed from MicroLife. This is my favorite root stimulant and just general fertilizer for trees. It's not technically a fertilizer. It's actually we call it a biostimulant. It's going to stimulate biological processes both in the soil and in the tree. So it's very, very, very beneficial stuff, especially if you got a new tree. And Santino, you're actually getting a full tree planting kit. So we'll give you an ebook on how to plant trees, a moisture meter, and some other cool things, along with the Super Seaweed as well. So I have reached out to you guys. I want to get in contact with you and make sure you get all your cool stuff. So we're moving right into some awesome questions you guys left me. So let's get into it. We've got anonymous participant here. Sorry, y'all weren't supposed to see that. It says, spider might help. I have 15 Brandon cedar trees. The foliage has been turning brown. I just realized all of them are infested. Infested is a heck of a word, by the way, with spider mites. How would you go about spraying all of these? What is a safe, tree-safe miticide I can get in large amounts? Advice appreciated. I'm worried about my trees. Yeah, I don't blame you. That's fair. I'll tell you, yeah. So here's a really fun one, and this is actually beneficial for just about any chewing or sucking pest on your tree. Is actually Dawn soap. It's that simple. But what it does, it forms a bubble which suffocates the critters and the bugs and stuff chewing on your tree. That's a great way to do it. Now, if you want to get a little more serious, if infested is really what's going on with your tree, you might need to go a little more serious. Abamectin is a great resource, and imamectin benzoate are two great chemicals. I'm not a huge fan of spraying trees, so if you can do it naturally, maybe get out there with some Dawn soap and give it a whirl. You might have some successes. And for those of y'all that don't know, there's a really cool test you could do. It's really fancy. You got to have one of these fancy white sheet of paper. Very important. And what you do is you very simply, here we go. You take the white sheet of paper and you just shake the branch over it. Just shake it right over top. And then what's going to happen is you'll see all these little critters. Most of those, unless you've got a really bad infestation, are going to be harmless. But the ones you want to look for have 8 legs. They are spider mites. They're actually in the arachnid family. And so they are very similar to spiders, but they're not going to eat you. Don't worry. They're harmless to you, but they can cause some serious damage to trees. So anyways, hope that helps, Anonymous. Check it out and see if that truly is a miticide problem. Start with the soap. You can even try to throw some neem oil on there. But realistically, if it gets crazy, first of all, you've got to get rid of the spider mites. Imamectin benzoate and abamectin are my 2 go-tos for mites. But the other problem is typically those mites are going to go after a stressed tree. So maybe try to figure out what's going on to stress the trees out and see if you can address that, because you gotta stop the bleeding. That's important. You got to cut off the problem, but you also have to get the tree in a healthy place and make sure it's able to defend itself. That's very important. Trees, believe it or not, have an immune system. Yes. Oh, and that's a really good point. So Lucas is telling me, hey, it also, you got to throw pictures on here. That's going to help me out a lot more, because I can take a look at it in person and we can really figure out what's going on. So shoot me some pictures. Feel free to send me a message or just drop them right there in the comment, and make sure to tag me in it. Otherwise, I might not see it. I'm a busy guy, y'all. It's crazy. It's busy season up in here. So we're moving on. All right. And also Anonymous. Hello all, this is a volunteer sapling that was transplanted last year from a flower bed. Curious if I should remove branches to better establish the leader. Yes, actually, right now, no. Let that bad boy grow a little bit. Get some more foliage on there. And what you want to do here, we'll go back to the drawing board. We're starting on the drawing board early tonight, y'all. This is going to be a good night. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. If there were such a thing as a perfect tree, it would look something like this. Y'all seen like the Christmas tree shape. So you got like one primary central lead and everything else branches subordinately off of that. Now, let's be real. We live in a non-perfect world, and so a perfect tree doesn't exist. Ooh, that's a great question, JK. So JK's asking, what's the little plastic thing around the base? Actually, I'm not offended by that. I see it all the time. And essentially what they're doing is they're probably trying to make sure that them or their landscapers are not destroying the tree. Because what will happen on these young trees is you'll get the weed whackers come out and just absolutely girdle the entire tree. On a young maple like that, they've got a really thin bark, so that can do some really serious damage. So I think what they're doing there, JK, is they're just creating like a little barrier to where they don't do damage. So that's really important, especially if you've got no mulch ring or anything around that. In a perfect world, we'd put a mulch ring on there, which would suppress the grasses and the weeds from growing and prevent that from being an issue. So anyways, hope that helps. But oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, Lucas bringing up a really good point. Is he's saying, yeah, a tiny tree fence. That's exactly right, JK. Yeah, you got a little tiny tree, a little baby tree fence there. So yeah, that's exactly what it does. I see it all the time. I'm not offended by it. So a couple comments here. Leave it and let it go at least another year or two. That would be my recommendation right now. I don't think you need to structurally prune this. You do have. Let's get back to the view. Y'all got to see it here. Sorry. We do have a couple of small problems here that I see. Is you've got what we call competing dominance, where these lower leaves are starting to compete. But quite frankly, the tree is so young that it's really not a big deal. Trees are extremely resilient when they're this young, so I'm not highly offended. I would let it go too, Joe. That's great advice. I just let it go and let it live and thrive a little bit. And once we get maybe another year or two into the future, now we can start doing things to structurally train that tree and get it growing in the right direction. You know, one of my favorite quotes in the Bible is train a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he'll never turn from it. I take that as twofold. Is A, to train him in the general moral values in this world, and recognizing God Almighty as God Almighty. And two, look at there, it's personalized. Train a child in the way that he personally should go. And so your tree is going to start growing in a certain direction. And if you can train to just really work with the tree, then it's really going to be a good deal, and you're not going to have problems later on. If you do nothing, chances are it's going to develop some structural deformities, and you might have to deal with that later on in a little bit, and it costs you a little bit more. If you could do it, Matthew Holland is recommending as well. Another top-notch tree guy. He's an awesome arborist from what I've seen online. I don't know him personally, but hey, let's connect, Matthew. Yeah, it's a great name, by the way. You're missing a T in there, I see, though. Nothing personal. I'm just biased. So, and Lucas brought up a good point too. Make sure those root flares are exposed. I don't see them, so I really can't go off of much here, but it is a volunteer, so sometimes they grow up sort of wrong. So moving on. Hope that helps. Jennifer's asking, hey, great name. That's my bride's name. Howdy. Hey, you must be from Texas. How do I treat what I believe to be white rot fungus, red tip photinia in central Texas? That's not good. I'll be honest. Red tips are really prone to all different kind of cotton root rot, all different types of white rot fungus. I would say you're probably better off removing and replanting, Jennifer. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but those red tips are a dime a dozen anyways. They grow like 3 or 5 feet or 10 feet or so a year. So, I humble opinion, I think you got a lot going on there. And by the way, that fungus is just the tip of the iceberg. That what you're seeing, that's only the fruiting body of the fungus. Think of it like the rose on the rose bush. Is you've got a whole plant, a whole root system, trunk, stem, thorns, leaves, etc., going on beyond that. And so that fungus is rooted deeply into your tree. And it's a younger tree for a photinia. Like I said, they're a dime a dozen. I'm not a huge fan of them personally. But when you do replant, make sure you're not overwatering, because that's usually kind of the beginning of the end, if you will. Anytime you're overwatering, that's going to promote fungal pathogens. So, yeah. Yeah, so Lucas is asking a really good question, actually. So he's asking if there are any products out there that can compete with the fungal pathogens and create a really healthy culture in the soil. Oops, my Shopify. Here we go. So here's one that it's kind of relatively new. It's by a brand called MicroLife. And they've created essentially, it's not a fungicide. We can't use that term for legal reasons and otherwise. But what we're calling it is an antifungal. And there's actually a lot of research on trichoderma species is a type of bacterium, and it's heterotrophic. What's that? Beneficial bacteria. Yeah. When you say bacteria, I know we're all used to like diseases and stuff, but this one right here, Trichoderma viridi and Trichoderma harzianum. I'm not the expert, by the way, on these things, but I do know, I've done enough research to know that these and a whole host of other bacteria actually eat fungus. And so what happens is they will outculture and outcompete the pathogenic fungal fungi that are out there. And so like Phytophthora, I've been experimenting with this stuff, and basically you take this and you mix it 1-to-1 with like molasses and humic acid and all that. And essentially what I'm finding is that Phytophthora goes away. We're trading it right now on some Ganoderma patients of mine. And, we're really, I'm seeing some good things, y'all. I've seen Phytophthora symptoms completely go away on a couple of sweet olives and some loropetalum and some mondo grass and just a whole host of things. And so this is a great product. I'll go ahead and drop the link here for you. But this might be a really good test. Is you can, when you plant the new one, just come in here and drop some of this down, and then make sure to mix it with humic acid and molasses. Like I said, 1-to-1 ratio. That's very important. But give that a shot, Jennifer. That might be a really beneficial thing for you. But honestly, that red tip, you probably don't have a long lifespan left on it. It's not doing so hot. I don't recognize that. Yeah. And just make sure you're putting that down, and make sure. Let me leave you some other ones too. Hold on 1 second here, Jennifer. All right, so we got that guy, and then this is going to be another really great one for you. Yeah, you basically think of it like probiotics. Whenever you go to the doctor and they give you antibiotics, now you got to take probiotics because you just killed it. Unalived everything. Miss Scusi. But these are really great products. Microlife is one of my favorite brands out there, and not because I get paid by them. I don't, but I most certainly love their product because it just works. Like I said, I've been experimenting with this on my clients and on my own plants, and I'm seeing some unbelievably good results. But quite frankly, I think that one's probably too far gone. That looks like cotton root rot to me. Y'all arborists, correct me if I'm wrong here, but yes. And Lucas is making a pretty good point. He's saying it's crazy how beneficial bacteria can outcompete parasitic bacteria and fungus. Yes, I would add to that fungus, but for sure. But moving on. Hope that helps. Job, or is Job? I'm assuming Job. Man, that's a heck of a book. Charleston, South Carolina. Bark is turning black. Does anyone know what that means? Am I going to get doxxed for saying the word black? Is that a thing now? No, it's not. Okay, I can say colors. That's cool. In shades. Could you snap a picture of the base of the tree and the surroundings? Everybody's so freaking sensitive nowadays. Y'all grow up. We'll do the AM. No, don't talk about blue jeans and don't say it in Spanish, she says. Y'all can infer. Very good, Christine. Thank you so much for... What's that, Lucas? He's making jokes on blue jeans. I don't know what that means, but cracking me up anyways. Can you say? Oh goodness, he's making a Sydney Sweeney Todd joke. That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't even know why that's even an issue right now. I have an oak on my property. The bark is turning black. Does anyone know what that means? To me, that looks like a bacterial wetwood or slime flux of some sort. It doesn't look like anything pathogenic, but I could be wrong. It might be a good idea to get a tissue sample and send it over to these guys here. I'll leave this as a link because we'll use it all the time. But I'll be honest. To me, it looks okay. I don't know exactly what kind of tree I'm looking at though, so it's really helpful to. Maybe I could tell it. That's not a black locust or honey locust, is it? Did I say black again? Oh my goodness. Ooh, I don't think I'm accurate in that. You do got some resurrection fern. That's beautiful. I love that stuff. I was just dealing with a tree. Oh, that might be a live oak. I think that's a live oak. Yeah. Yeah, that's live oak. Yeah, you got a somewhat buried root flare and a little bit of slime flux, it looks like. Make sure you're not getting any kind of like oversaturation in the soil there, Joe. That might be an issue. It looks like you got some bricks around here. The soil, I'll tell you, the soil looks really, really, really compacted. And I'm just going off of the weed level there. But yeah, Lucas is saying in the chat, he says it's crazy how beneficial bacteria can outcompete parasitic bacteria. I've seen lots of research showing this result, and I'm seeing the same thing. There's a lot of guys doing research on some of the bacteria for use as kind of beneficial infecting trees and soils and such like that. But yeah, I think you've got a root flare issue on this one side here, Joe. To me, I see like a bacterial wetwood or a slime flux. Make sure you're not oversaturating the soil. Make sure you're not spraying the trunk with water. So I saw my neighbor doing that the other day. Yeah, definitely do that screwdriver test. That's going to be important because you want to make sure your soil's not compacted. That's going to be extremely important. So here's the rule with the screwdriver. I'm going to send you a link here too, but the rule with the screwdriver test is you take a long 6 to 8 inch screwdriver, jam it in the ground, pull it back out. Was it hard to stick in the ground? A, and B, does it come back wet? If it comes back wet, do not water. Wait until that dries out. You want to make sure your soil is drying out prior to hard to push down into the soil. Then you probably got a compacted soil, so you got to work on that. Vertical mulching is a great. Why is this doing this? Vertical mulching is a great thing, and radial trenching too. I don't think you would want to do that on this tree because it's a little more established, but what happened? Yeah, kind of love interwebs. Interwebs doing interwebs thing. All right, we're moving on. Hope that helps, Joe. Let me know if we can help again. All right, Lucas got a question. Let's hear it, Lucas. What you got? Mm-hmm. That's a really good question. So correct me if I'm wrong, Lucas. So Lucas is asking, like thin barked trees, you've got a lot of times they're a lot more sensitive to what we call sun scald. Think of it like sunburn for trees. What Lucas is asking is there a way to cover trees that are, let's say you got a tree just like we're looking at here. This is a some sort of a maple, red oak, red bun. I don't know. Red. Oh, okay. October Glory red maple. Those are beautiful, by the way. Those are awesome trees. So, but they are a thin bark tree. So a lot of times when you're trying to get a tree established, they'll defoliate. Well, here's the problem. Now they're exposed. Now you've got bark that's exposed, and that bark on those maples, on those red maples, are extremely thin and prone to some sort of like sun scalding. So that's a really good point. One way that you could do it's best on thin barked trees to put them under canopy, like red buds, Japanese maples, things like that. Sometimes you just can't. So you've got to make sure the leaves are there. If they don't get there, you want to make sure, like especially during the summer, you cover it with something. So you look up landscaping tarps. You can find them on Amazon all over the place. They're really common, but essentially they diffuse the lighting. So you're not getting that direct sun just burning down and melting the daylights out of the tree. So that might be a really good solution for you, is coming up with some sort of a landscaper's tarp. But let's get into the question. So Jordan's asking, calling all fellow arborists, I'm stumped. I hope you can help. We planted 25 3-inch caliper. By the way, caliper is measured right at the root flare. So that's 3 inches, probably 1.5 inch or so diameter at breast height. That's 4.5 feet is the standard measurement. Nursery standards are a little bit different. So they go by calipers on smaller trees. So October Glory red maples in the spring of 2024 were planted lining the entrance of an industrial complex in northern Indiana. All trees harvested from our nursery prior to bud break and replanted the following day. Okay, so you did like a ball and burlap kind of, or maybe even a bare root. But basically the trees were cut. The next day they were moved over. Now you want to cure them typically, and I'm not a nursery guy, I'm an arborist, but typically you want to cure those roots for about 9 months, let them get growing. So there's your first kind of like, okay, well, that's going to stress it out issue. 36-inch root balls. So it looks like you got really big sized root balls for those trees. So maybe that's not as much of an issue. The trees came from sandier, well-drained soil. and planted in almost exact same conditions. 25 gallons of water every 5 to 7 days from April to October. Man, Jordan, I love that. You got this down to a science, dude. Where are we? What happened? What the heck? 25 gallons of water every 5 to 7 days from April to October. The spring, about half of the trees leafed out and looked great, while the others have grown some epicormics. Those are sprouts, not suckers. Suckers grow from the bottom, by the way, just so y'all know. And have clusters of witches' brooms. Cambium layer of the bark is vibrant green in all of these trees. Initially, I thought transplant stress, but each tree has 6 to 10 inches of fibrous root growth. Wow, nice, dude. You're like really on top of this. You got this down to a science. I love that. There was no herbicide drift, salt spray or runoff, insect damage, no signs of verticillium. Has anyone seen something like this before? Let's check it out. Oh, man. You sure there's no overspray? That looks really a lot like herbicide of some sort. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'm listening. Compaction. Yeah, Lucas is making a good point. So if you look at the grass here, you don't have like a landscape turf. You don't have really tall weeds that might indicate some good signs. You've got all these little clover and some like, I don't know what that is, but it's not like a normal grass. To me, it looks like really, really compacted soil. So an anaerobic condition like that is going to cause some of these issues. I'll be honest, that looks to me like spot on herbicide drift, something like that. But you're saying it's not, so I'm going to take your word for it. I'm thinking you got some sort of an anaerobic condition in the soil. And also, how big was the planting hole? Because to me, it looks like maybe you've got a compacted soil that you planted into. Even if it's sand, that can happen for sure. Yeah, Lucas is saying too that it may be like a girdling root issue. I don't see girdling root issue. To me, I see like salt drift or salt damage, herbicide drift. Yeah. Yeah, so Lucas is saying maybe but they weren't like container grown trees, so you're not going to have the root bound issue. So in a container grown tree, you've got a planting container. Yeah, I would say radial trenching, JK. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, tiny little trees, radial trenching. I think that's going to be a really, really good idea. What I think is maybe you've got too much water and not enough water all at the same time. I know that's like a juicy contradiction, but here's what I'm thinking: is you've got an existing soil that may be compacted. You've got a soil that doesn't drain well. I know you're saying it doesn't drain well, but I'm really wondering if these roots are having trouble breaking through. You said Indiana too, so you're going to get like a 4-season type environment. I'm really wondering about herbicide too, though. Yeah. There's some sort of maybe it's not herbicide. It could be like oil buildup in the soil. I would maybe check your soil and see what's going on with it. These are some friends of mine. They're really, really awesome. Check the soil and see. Send off some soil samples because we're gonna have to figure out a little bit more about what's going on. Yeah, that's not enough water. I'll make sure that the buttress roots are exposed. Also, we need to know location of this property. 4,000 trees per year and advise our customers to water 25 gallons per week on all trees up to 4-inch calipers. We have a 97% success rate following the methodology. It's supposed to have been changed to show the location. Indiana, right? Yeah, northern Indiana. So you're going to get lots of, that's funny. Try radial trenching. Right? Yeah, I think Christine's right on point. I think you've got transplant shock combined with maybe enough water, maybe not enough water. I'm not sure, to be honest. It depends on the drainage, really. Is how fast is that soil draining? And you said you've got a sandy soil. Went from sandy soil to sandy soil. Sounds like you're a tree guy. Uh, but I would definitely I would look into the man. I'll be honest. That's so spot on herbicide. Like everything about that just screams herbicide damage to me. Uh, Yeah, and it could be not even some sort of a like herbicide. It could be like something else altogether. It could be like oil buildup from years and years and years ago. It could be salt damage from you're in northern India. I know you got seasons, so you might have something left over from 25 years, 20, maybe not that long, but a long 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or whatever. So I would look into this because this is going to, yeah, I know, and I know I did, and I mentioned that Jordan said it was not salt damage. Let's see, cadmium layer, no herbicide drift, salt spray, or runoff, insect damage, no signs of verticillium wilt. Has anyone seen something like this before? Yeah, everything about that screams phytotoxicity. And I would be willing to bet that maybe it was a couple years ago or 3 years ago because the soil's terrible. I'm telling you, like this is terrible soil. That's the only reason these weeds are growing. Weeds are not like a plant out of place. That's like what everybody calls them, but realistically, weeds are like mechanics of the soil. They're doing something. Usually it's pulling minerals from the lower levels up to the top or breaking up some of the compacted soil or whatever. Most weeds don't like to grow in an area of high phosphorus, high potassium, and high calcium levels. So I would get that soil sample done. I think did I post that or no? But I'll be honest, Jordan. I think you got some sort of herbicide damage, or I'm misquoting that, or misstating that. Not herbicide damage, some sort of phytotoxicity. I don't know what it is, but everything about that screams phytotoxicity. And it could be because maybe that was planted on an old dumping grounds from 50 years ago, and you're getting some of that stuff rising to the surface. But witches brooming, that's usually some sort of phytotoxicity. So I know you're saying no herbicide drift, salt spray runoff. It doesn't have to be this year. It could have been last year or the year before, the year before, the year before, the year before. But I think you got some sort of phytotoxicity issue. Yeah, some of those chemicals, man, they last for decades or even centuries. So check it out and see. But like I said, check out that. Did I post the one about this? Is what I need. Humates Plus. Throw a ton of this stuff into the ground and see if that helps out. Because I think you got some sort of phytotoxicity there. I could be wrong. That's happened more than once in my life for sure. Quite a bit actually. But I really think you got some sort of something that's just destroying these trees' health. And the soil around it tells me the same. So I would, even though I know you're saying it's not that, but I would look into that a little deeper. Biochar is another really, really great product. I don't have any that I sell, but Biochar is a really, really great product as well. So hope that helps, man. All right, Pam's asking. Sorry, that was a long time for that one. We gotta move through these a little quicker. All right. Pam's asking. I planted this Oakland holly 3 years ago with a root ball 2 inches higher than the ground level. Well done, Pam. I would much rather see higher planted than lower planted. I recently learned of the root flare. I scraped back the dirt. A few small roots curved into these roots. I snipped them off, but now I'm not sure which is the root flare. What I should do with all this? I need help. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. All right. Oh, I love the straw around there. Don't leave it as tall. You only want about 2 to 4 inches of mulch. Yeah, you're actually, you might want to add a little mulch actually right to the base of those. Go ahead and cover up those roots there. It looks like you might have nicked those two, or maybe cut those. You've got the beginnings of greatness here, Pam. This is a beautiful root flare starting to develop. You do have some that are kind of crisscrossing. I'm not really worried about those. What I'm worried about are the ones that go perpendicular to one another. One of them cuts off the other one. So you got a root flare here, then you got another one coming over it that's compressing there. Those are the ones you really want to watch for. I think you're actually pretty good. Add just maybe an inch or two of topsoil or some sort of compost that'll break down into topsoil. And I think you're good. I think you're on the right track here, Pam. All right, Luke's got a question. Let's hear it. I hear it. Y'all don't hear it. Yes. Mm-hmm. You're talking about this one? No, I would leave it alone. That's a great question. Lucas was asking. So there's obviously been some sort of a nick here. It could have been that it was cut, or maybe a lawn mower hit it or something. But I think it's okay. I would leave it alone. If anything, go ahead and spray this soil and plant energy on it. That'll give it some extra resources to seal and heal those wounds. Yes, trees do heal. They do it different than we do. Got into that debate with a so-called consulting arborist. He said, "Oh, wait a minute, trees don't heal, they seal." I'm like, that's 101. We're on 108 over here. Get on board, man. I understand how trees compartmentalize. That's also, by the way, talk within the industry. We're talking about coming out with a new model for compartmentalization of decay in trees. There's actually a book, Code It version 2.0, that we're working on here. So as an industry, that's going to be really interesting to see what they're saying, because there's a lot of research that has come in after Alex Shago, who was considered the father of modern arboriculture. Great dude. I've studied his stuff religiously, just about. Also, we know a lot more 70 years down the road, so we need to change our model up a little bit. So moving on, Nadine's asking, is my tree unalived or unaliving? Yeah. Sorry. Vines, they gotta go. Gotta get rid of those vines, Nadine. Ooh, that's not good. Lucas is asking, what causes vines to start growing on a tree like that? Opportunity. They're taking advantage of a tree that's. First of all, you got to have the vine there. So the vine's there. I'll be honest. I don't know. That's great. English ivy will eventually unalive the tree, but it could take many years. It's your decision if you want to prioritize the tree or the ivy. Some people just let it run its course. Removing it at this point could be quite difficult. At the top of the tree, it looks like you definitely need a significant trimmer from a professional arborist only. I agree. That could buy you a lot more time and improve the health of the tree while it competes with the ivy. So what you can do is cut those ivies right at the base there. Just snip them off right there where the roots are. And then what you can do is and just rip it up the length of the tree. Watch out for the power lines. You don't want to unalive yourself doing that while you're trying to unalive your tree. That's not good. So yeah, it's definitely in decline, Nadine. And ripping the building apart. Yeah, I've had houses that were like covered in English ivy, and we'd come in and trim it, and then eventually, when we had to rip the whole ivy down, it actually pulled a lot of the grout and everything with it. So it's doing the same thing to your tree. It's rooting in there and capturing. First of all, it's blocking gas exchange. Believe it or not, just like how you put on gloves and you get those pruny hands, or you spend too much time in the water. Well, your skin needs to breathe. So the same thing's happening on the trunk. If you get heavy rain, all that ivy is going to capture the water and leave it on the trunk. That's no good. You've got to get rid of that ivy. Very, very important. Who was it that was saying that earlier? Yeah, I think, Jesse, you're absolutely spot on. That's a lot of creeper vines on the base. Is it possible poison ivy? I don't think it's poison ivy, Christine. I think it is. Let's see, English ivy, I believe. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you got to get rid of that ivy. That is a must. Honestly, to be able to tell you, yes, it's unaliving, or no, it's not unaliving, I think we need a little bit closer look at it. If you're gonna keep this tree alive and thriving, you got an uphill battle. You got a street tree with limited root volume or soil volume for the roots. You've got power lines involved, or at least utility cables involved. No root flare. You've got an uphill battle, Nadine. I would maybe consider possibly removing it. And at least you got to get rid of that unalive tissue. That's really important. But moving on. All right. Peter's asking, I have a hole in this ass and an aspen about as big around as a toonie and filled with frass made by ants. There's also a large amount of frass around the base of the tree. I fear there's a very deep hole in this tree. Compromise. Can I vacuum out this hole and fill it with expanding foam? Maybe diatomaceous earth or sugar/borax. I love the diatomaceous earth option. Do not fill it with expanding foam. It'll trap. Oh, Christine's on it. You're awesome, Christine. You're absolutely spot on too. Christine, when are you going to get your Arborist certification? You're out of control here. Yeah, I think Lucas made a good point. Christine, you're going to get some free microlife. You've been doing a phenomenal job here of answering these questions, and I know you're local. I know you. We'll get you a bag of the microlife fertilizer because I know you got some trees that need it too. But yeah, she's absolutely spot on. Expanding foam will trap liquid in the tree and cause it worse damage. Absolutely correct. Just make sure the hole is cleared over time. The tree will seal around it on its own. Aspen trees are a little worse than that, or worse at that, I should say. But yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Christine. Do not fill it, Peter, with expanding foam. That is such a bad idea. You can vacuum it out if you want. It's not going to do a lot. What you want to do is give the tree some extra resources and make sure it's healthy and thriving. It'll handle the rest. This is really great stuff. You can spray it right on the trunk, spray it around the soil, etc. But yeah, I would not fill it. Make sure you've got some sort of control of pathogens as well. The ants are not an issue. They'll only eat unalive tissue already, tissue that's already unalive. But what they will do is tell you where there's decayed tissue. I think Lindsay Purcell made that point the other day. And I thought that was brilliant. It's like, yes, no, ants won't actually chew on the living tissue. What they will do is help us identify where there's already unalived tissue. And so that's kind of an indicator that maybe you've got some further decay going on. So check out this video I did not too long ago about sounding the tree. Make sure it's not so hollow that it's going to fall over one day. That wouldn't be good for you, man. Yeah, we're going to do the mallet test video. Yeah. She definitely needs. Luke is saying she's been doing such a good job. Like, you've earned some free microlife, Christine. You're rocking it out there. Thank you so much for all you do, and glad to have you with us. All right, Paul's asking, what is this fungus on this weeping beech tree planted a little over a year ago? That looks like schizandria. That's really common. That comes from the nursery. Bad practices at the nursery. People with dirty pruning tools. But it looks like you got some unalive tissue up above here, maybe allowing the sun to expose it to. It's really common that's what schizandria is, the name of that fungus. Really, really common. That tissue right there is gone. It's unalived. You do have some new regrowth here though, Paul, and I'm seeing some good signs. Make sure to cover that particular area and allow the tree to compartmentalize that. That is going to greatly weaken. It looks like a weeping cherry, right? Did I get that right? Oh, weeping beech. Okay. Yeah. So it's weeping beech variety. Those beech has a really, really thin bark as well. So make sure you cover that top because you're gonna have sun scald like crazy with that. They're really sensitive on the thin bark there. So that's gonna be really important. Yeah. No. Well, the weeping varieties typically are genetic hybrids. They're freaks of nature, basically. Here's the other thing is I'm going to give you a couple different products here, Paul. That one. Make sure you mix that one with 1-to-1 ratio of molasses. That's very important because this liquid AF is actually not a fungicide. It's an antifungal that is 100% bacteria based. Really cool stuff. I don't make it. I just love it because it's such a great idea. The guys at Microlife make that stuff. But basically what you want to do, you want to feed those microbes to where they're going to be able to culture and consume a lot of the fungal pathogens and reculture that area. So spray that on there like once a week, once a month or so. And that'll suppress the schizandria. You can't really get rid of it completely. Sorry. That's just the way it is. But yeah, you got to protect that and suppress that schizandria fungus, while at the same time, that'll give the molasses will give those beneficial bacteria a lot of beneficial resources that they can start to go to work, reculture the area, and start to heal and seal that wound, though. So molasses, by the way, trees are basically made of about 45% carbon, 45% oxygen, 4% hydrogen. If you're a mathematician, now you're up to 94, 95%, 3% nitrogen. By the way, all these things, I don't know if y'all are aware of this, they're in the air. So if you can get air down to the soil, that often will give the tree extra resources and make sure it's got what it needs to health to just thrive, you know. So hope that helps, Paul. Moving on. Jody's asking, the spring fully grown mimosa tree, 5 or 6 years old. Spring it did not produce many flowers. Now many of its leaves are dried up. It's normally as full as it usually is. It's not nearly as full as it usually is. There are no orange or yellow patches on the branches. I don't know what that means. No worms making themselves at home in the tree. I live in North Carolina. Any advice or suggestions greatly appreciated. Got to have pictures. That's really important, Jody. I'll post some pictures, but it's just dried leaves. As far as the base goes, there's nothing to see. No holes, discoloration, etc. It looks completely normal. Says you, but you're not an arborist, though. So send me some pictures, even if it doesn't make sense to you. It's just like you go to the doctor and you got like a knee pain, and they check your ear. They're like, well, why are you checking my ear, doctor? Well, because you don't know the things that I know, and there may be something relevant that I'm going to see in your ear that affects your knee. And that's just a stupid example, but, you know, same thing. So post those pictures, Jody. Maybe we can help you out. Hope that helps. All right. Don's asking, good morning. I have 4 trees on my property that have mounted. Oh, goodness. Mounded gardens and shade plants right up to the base of the trunk. That's bad. You got to get those away from it. So this was done by previous owners. I've been told by several people that gardens at the base of the tree are bad for the tree in the long run. Those people are right. Do I remove the garden, level the earth, or leave as is, something in between? Again, guys, you got to post pictures. Carefully remove the soil and mulch. Yes, mulch volcanoes. Let's just type in mulch here. Lucas talking too much. You're distracting me, Lucas. I'm not gonna tell you all what he just told me. Pinky out. All right. All right. Ontario. Lindsay will gladly recommend. Yes. Call my son. Okay, Julie, you got to watch out on the promotions there. All these guys that are giving these great advices are doing it pro bono, so we don't market on this, but absolutely, Lindsay will gladly recommend him. I don't know who he is, but Lindsay is a known and very excellent arborist. He teaches in the industry about how to become an arborist. He's a board certified master arborist and registered consulting arborist like myself, and I consider him my superior. So he's been there and done that a lot more than I have, and great guy. I don't know about your son, Lindsay, or Julie, excuse me. But what I would say is you got friends don't let friends, mulch volcano. So important, guys. Get rid of those stupid mulch volcanoes. I don't know why guys do that, but it's very, very bad. Make sure the mulch is just like a forest. is you do want some good 2 to 4 inches of mulch, but what you don't want to do is mound it up on the base of it. That can be extremely traumatizing and terrible for trees. Like that will cause all sorts of very bad trees. That's the quickest way to unalive a tree that I know of, without knowing that you're doing so. So hope that helps, Don. Moving on. Rachel's asking, what's happened to my Eastern redbud? I just noticed this webbing a couple of weeks ago. Oh, those are Eastern tent caterpillars, I think. Ooh, goodness. You got a lot of them. You might want to spray some BT, Bacteria thuringiensis. Let's check out the old Amazon.com. Oh, I don't. There we go. That's good enough. Monterey makes a really, really great brand. One of these days, I'm going to call them and become a vendor of their stuff. Excuse me, a really, really great BT, Bacteria thuringiensis, very pure. Spinosad is a really great brand as well. Bacteria come on, Otto. Come on, autofill. You're killing me. You're killing me, Luke. You're not allowed anymore. I didn't say that. You did. Thuricide BT. Yeah, so thuringiensis. That's where I got it wrong. I was like, I know I'm not spelling this right, but what is it? Bacteria thuringiensis. Giensis. Yeah, that's it. Thuringiensis. Monterey makes my favorite version of this. Bonite is okay. Southern Ag's pretty good. Essentially what this does, Monterey, there we go. This is like the cream of the crop biological insecticide. Essentially, it's bacteria that parasitize larvae of beetles and Lepidoptera. Those are going to be your tent caterpillars, your fall webworms, things like that. Now, unfortunately, they do kill like monarch caterpillars as well. You don't want to, so don't go like just spraying this all willy nilly. Make sure it's concentrated and sprayed very specifically. I did a video a long time ago about another cool trick you can do is actually just open up the webs. That'll allow the birds to come in and just have a little feast. They got their little buffet of worms going on. So I like doing that too, because, let nature do nature's thing. You got, oh, that's a good question, JK. So JK's after the third. Lucas, you're getting in trouble over here. Talking my ear off. Ooh, that's a really good question. Rachel, give me some up close pictures of that base of that tree there. We might be able to narrow this a little bit. JK makes a really good point. That's a good eye, JK. Good eye on that one. Definitely stressed trees are going to get attacked more by the pests and bugs and fungus and stuff than non-stressed trees. So yeah, you've definitely got something going on there. Ideally, you would want to create a mulch ring, maybe 3 or 4 feet in diameter, in radius, to prevent the grass from being there. It almost looks like maybe the lawnmower or the that's funny. Y'all are cracking me up. Looks like Spider-Man must have been completing a mission nearby. Remove the branch. Chance he returns to fight crime near the tree again. It's slim. Let's see what else y'all saying. That is, I spotted him and called the authorities. Safe to say he won't be back. Thank goodness. Y'all are cracking me up over here. This is well done, guys. Well done. At least if you can't have fun with it, it's not worth doing. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Dawn works great too. Yeah, Dawn works really good. I think JK's got a good point. You got some sort of damage here, probably stressing the tree out. Root flares are buried, so you've got an anaerobic thing going on there, possibly some girdling roots causing some stress on the tree. Now you got a stressed tree. Remember back in COVID days, they said it's the elderly, the immunocompromised. Those are the ones that get the really bad issues going on with their with the COVIDs and all that. It's the same with trees. It's like most pathogens, most pests are advantageous. So advantageous pests. So they're going to take advantage of the weakest link. Yeah, no, that they're just being chewed and skeletonized. Yeah, I think that's just a bad picture, Lucas. I don't think so. That's skeletonization. No, Lucas was asking if the black coloration was a pathogen. I think that's just the color of it. You know, those look like the bean sprouts to me. Those red buds have like little bean pods, and I think those are just the old bean pods. I don't think there's any sort of pathogen going on. I think you got webworms like crazy. That BT is going to be a great resource for you. Here's one. I don't have one to sell you, but BT is a really great product. The other thing is make sure you're keeping the tree healthy. It looks like you got the grass growing right up to the base there, and if you could put a mulch ring in, that would be ideal. So, good eye there, JK. Well done. That is, I think you got to get rid of those. Yeah, when are you going to be an arborist, JK? Go take your test already. It's time. You're crushing it. All right, so moving on. Katie's asking, is my live oak a goner? Not at all. What's happening to it? That is terrible pruning. It's terrible. Get your landscapers away from that friggin' tree. That's just terrible. Those guys are just the worst. Landscapers, you know, I started a video series. I'm going to start doing it again. It's like reason number 4,892. I just make up numbers on the fly. Why you shouldn't hire a landscaper to take care of your trees. Y'all, I have a job because of landscapers. Like, thank God for landscapers because they just make so many mistakes that I got to fix. All right, so this is bad. Katie, you got to get rid of that soil around there. What you want to see. All right, here we go. Tree planting 101. First of all, hold on, let me go back to it. Get that stupid white brick out of there. That stone is the worst for trees. It blocks the roots and it just causes all sorts of problems. All that grout is leaching phytotoxins into the soil slowly, the concrete and the aggregates that are being dissolved by the rain. You got to get rid of that. But the other thing is you got to get the root flares exposed. When you ask a 5-year-old, test check, microphone check. Thanks, JK. I hit the magic button that makes it go. I'm like over here yelling into the mic and there's no sound. That's something I do for sure. All right. Let me do this again because I was very animated and passionate about these things I was talking about. So you got a tree. You want it to look like this. So critically important. If it doesn't, what's going on is a couple things. First of all, air cannot get into these regions. That's a very bad thing because an anaerobic condition is going to promote fungal pathogens. Yay! Thanks, JK. Appreciate the heads up there. Sorry for the sound issues. I hit that magic button. There's like one little magic button right here, and if you just barely tap it, it doesn't let you know, but it definitely works, and it turns my volume off. So, whenever you've got root flares exposed, your tree can grow the way it should. Whenever they're buried, like let's say you got the soil up here, which is real common, or different problem. Let's say you got a root flare that is buried with mulch volcanoes, y'all. Say they put mulch all the way up here. What's happening, those roots are going to want to come up for air. They will grow all the way up, and then they'll start wrapping around the trunk of the tree because once they get to the certain level that they like the oxygen levels or the air levels at, they're going to start spreading out from there. And what'll happen is you ever put on a really bad pair of shoes and try to walk around in it all day that's like too tight, it's going to like compress and strangulate, and that's no good. Can be terrible. Try putting a tourniquet on your arm and just walking around with it all day. See what happens. Your arm's going to go gangrene. It's going to unalive. So it's not good. So trees are a little more resistant. They can last a little bit longer with really serious problems like these, but they can't last forever. So you got to make sure those root flares are exposed. I'll be honest, Katie, I think you got a lot of work to do here. I think you've got to expose those root flares. Kick your landscaper. Yeah, that's That's true. Okay, we'll get to the comments here in a minute. Kick your landscaper away from your trees. Do not let them touch it. They're so bad, landscapers. I'll go back through that. They said this is a joke I just love. Hiring your landscaper to take care of your trees is like hiring your dentist to do your brain surgery. They might have the right tools. Doesn't mean they know what they're doing, and you should let them do it. So this cut has unalived because they did a terrible job. It probably peeled a little bit. Some sort of decay got in and is now unaliving there. And then when you get down to the root zone, you've got that problem as well. So you've got there, that looks like the side with the problem limb on it. But also all those roots are strangulating. Yeah. These can predispose your tree to other problems too. The live oak is unaliving because someone built a planter around the base of the tree, which you cannot do. Ants are taking advantage of the rotting wood. Your tree probably has Phytophthora or root rot. David, where are you learning all these cool things? From Home Depot? Right? I didn't know they taught you all that stuff. Yes, Phytophthora is a really, really big problem. Also, it looks like you got this really beautiful, healthy green grass around there. Y'all got to stop spraying herbicide down there. That's not, you're going to put that tree under real fast. Your landscapers are screwing you right now, Katie. They are destroying your tree. Fire them without pay. Find somebody that's organic. And you got to get those problems resolved. So hope that helps. Sorry, I'm like bearer of bad news and I'm kind of being a jerk about it, but that's okay. I'm good with it. Looks real pretty, but the amount of damage, so bad. So true. All right. So Kimberly's asking, I need help identifying this tree as well as why it looks some sort of branches are unaliving. That looks like a weeping cherry to me. Rocks are not mulch. Yay! Christine's so right on that again. For real, you're just crushing it, Christine. I love that you're helping out so much. Thank you for all your. Yeah, I agree. Joe is doing. Joe's crushing it too. Let's see, rocks. Landscaping myth busted. Rocks are not mulch. Public service announcement, y'all. Where my Facebook at? Here we go. Rocks are not mulch. Amen and amen. All right. An arborist might have said that a little bit differentially. If they encounter water, they will take advantage, but they don't go out scouting for pipes. Yes. Okay, Jesse, you're a master gardener. You know a thing or two about trees. Okay, so this is okay. Let's break this down, y'all. So we got a couple problems here. Marcella's telling us, I had an arborist tell me those trees are bad for the foundation, the driveway, and the roots grow big and looks for water breaking pipes. No. Trees will absolutely seek out water. They will not seek out pipes. They will go right around it. Now, if you've got the big girdle, the big like supporting root structure, the woody roots that you would like have problems with right next to the foundation, yes, sometimes they can expand and they can exert up towards of 20,000 pounds per square inch. So they will absolutely crush pipes. So if you've got a pipe growing right next to your tree, probably an issue. You might want to go around and reroute that bad boy. Rocks are the big issue here. They can superheat the ground and damage root systems that the tree depend on. You should take out all the rocks and put a mulch layer down. The root flares at the base of the tree is also covered up and the tree needs to be rebreathed. You're crushing it, Christine. Like I got like, go take your arborist certification. You're ready. I'll vouch for you. Yeah, that's crazy. Like you are on it and like spot on. Do you by chance know what kind of tree it is? I think it's a weeping cherry. Yeah. And again, I'll go back to the root flare issue too. You got to get those root flares exposed. Get rid of the rocks. Get rid of the root flares. You got a weeping cherry. What else is there to say? Give it some extra fertilizer. Put some good organic mulch down. That's going to help out tremendously. So hope that helps, Kimberly. We're moving on. Maybe. Rachel's saying, hey, guys. What's up? Carrie. I got you. Hey, guys. Trying to figure out what's going on. I have a big oak in my yard. Probably a good 100-year-old plus. Last month or so, I've lost a couple branches in storms, branches that are way too big to just kind of break. Then today I noticed this on branches, not on the ones that fell, but a couple still in the tree. Anyone able to help? You got a soft rot, or is that soft rot? Yeah, soft rot. That's not brown rot, is it? Okay, so there's a phenomenon that happens in trees called sudden summer limb drop, I believe is the term for it. That's some sort of red oak. And it's really common, and I can't remember why exactly it happens. We're still trying to figure out why it happens, honestly. But this is not because of that. You had some decay on the top sides of the limbs. My best guess would be somebody came in and they gutted the tree. They lion's tail pruned it. And what that means is they're pruning all of the middle interior out of the canopy. And what that does is you usually start to get like big limbs that are cut. Let me give you this video here, because this is important, y'all. Where are we at? Limbs break when you prune. Here we go. Okay, so this is the video I'm going to refer you to. This is one I did. I think this tree has been over pruned in the past. The fungus, that looks saprophytic to me. That looks like an already unalived branch. I don't see any signs of life on that. So I think it's just taking advantage of an already unalived branch. Brown rot on a red oak. Looks like, oh, yeah. Okay, brown rot. Looks like diseased and a breakdown of lignins. Yes, brown rot it causes that dry brittle. Anything I can do about it would love to save a tree, a possibility. Yeah, so I think some sort of brown. I think Michael's absolutely spot on. You've got some sort of a brown rot going on. Tree said yeet. That's awesome, JK. It's like, nah, dog, I'm done. I'm over it. It is pretty. Yeah, Lucas saying that yellow fungus is kind of pretty. I agree. Yeah, to me that looks like it's attacking an already unalived branch, but you definitely have some brown rot going on there. Brown rot is the brittlest of all the rots. There's brown rot, soft rot, and white rot, and they all do different kinds of things as far as what they eat. So, like soft rot is breakdown of the cellulose and the lignins. The essentially the that's what the tree is, or the fungus is feeding on. So I would say I agree. I think you got a brown rot on there just based on the brittleness and the breakage style. But I would look further up on that limb that broke and find out where that limb was pruned that introduced that decay. Because I think something's going on there that happened in the past. Looks like it's been lion's tail pruned out to the ends there. That's where all the foliage is. Maybe they kept this one, but something was pruned off of this guy and caused that decay to enter. And further on down the road, now we're here. We got the summer sudden leaf or sudden limb drop going on at the same time. So, yeah, I think you definitely gotta make sure that the opposite is done, is start to structurally prune that, reduce some of the weight on the ends of the branches, and see about maybe strengthening that structurally a little bit. I wouldn't worry too much about that fungus, but if you really want to know, it's best actually to go and check with your U.S. AgriLife or Agriculture Extension. Yeah, take a sample, send that off to these guys. Find Ohio's on there and see if maybe they can help you identify it. You know, a lot of fungus we can actually just say, okay, that's Ganoderma lucidum, that's Ganoderma apollinatus, that's Armillaria species, that's Phytophthora. A lot of these are pretty common and pretty easy to identify. That one I don't recognize, but it looks like it's saprophytic, meaning it's consuming an already unalived branch to me. I could be wrong, but hope that helps, Rachel. Moving on. Hello, we had a glorious crab apple in our side yard. Neighbors who have lived in the neighborhood for 63 years stated the tree's been there about 40. Cool. Well, 5 years ago, it started to show signs of stress. This year, about 2/3 of the branch did not come back. Arborist advised to cut down. We now have a stump in our side yard. Any stump removal advice? How soon after removal can we plant something else? Can it be in the exact same place? This one's quick. I love it. Go rent a stump grinder. You can get one from Home Depot. Actually, they rent those. Put a sculpture on it. Yeah, you can put a bird bath or something on it. But the question's about replanting specifically. Yes, you can grind the stump out and you can plant in the exact same location. It's really, really important to get rid of all those old wood chips because you got fungal pathogens in there, maybe that are causing some issues. But the big issue is when compost breaks down. All of that is actually combustion. So I don't know if y'all learned this in high school or not, like I did, but in high school they told me something that really changed my perspective and my thinking on things. They said digestion is actually combustion. So let's say, and I have actually seen this in action. Let's say you got a mulch pile here. Well, what's happening is all those little microbes are consuming and they're generating heat. They're breaking down those wood particles essentially, and as they do that, it's combusting those wood particles. I have actually seen a mulch yard on fire because they dumped there, they didn't water it enough, the combustion happened, the microbes came and consumed all of that, and as they were doing so, it generated heat, and eventually the heat got so great that the whole friggin' thing became on fire. And so what you want to do, and answer your question, Anonymous, is make sure that you get rid of all of those wood chips the best you can. Yes, you can plant there. Make sure that you do it in a responsible fashion. So crab apple, pretty small stump. All right, Lucas got a question. Shoot. Okay, so Lucas is asking if you should wait a little while. Yes. So, okay. So what Lucas is talking about, so essentially you got the tree, it's ground out. Now you've got a mulch pile here. He's saying, well, eventually what happens, and this is absolutely true, is as it's being broken down, it's the particles are getting smaller. So you got big wood chips from a stump grinder. Yeah. So like can like regular mulch piles under trees explode? In theory, yes. In reality, probably not going to happen. I know guys that do composting and they actually light it on fire to help with the decomposition process. So yes, but yes, I have actually seen mulch yards on fire. And that's because of that combustion that is happening as the wood particles are breaking down and those microbes are decaying them. It actually generates a ton of heat. In the winter, you can sometimes see steam rising off of it. I think it's pretty cool, personally. But like, also, if you got like a fire in your mulch yard, that's not cool, I guess. So yeah, that's yes. In theory, it can explode. I've seen small mulch piles on fire before too. That guy's composted it and it caught fire and they just let it burn because, you know, that's going to create a lot of carbon and organic matter as the organic matter breaks down. So in answer to your question, okay, yeah, I'm getting to it, Lucas. You're talking too much. You're good. Yeah, so he's asking, would it make sense to wait a little while after the grinding of the stump? Yes and no. If you remove all of those wood chips and replace it with a good topsoil or a good compost-ridden topsoil, compost-laden topsoil, then you're probably fine to plant now. But you don't want to plant something very big. Plant something small that can work with the roots around it because those roots are going to be breaking down. If that's 40 years old on that stump, those roots are going to be 40 years old too. And so they're gonna need a little time to break down. That's gonna take 5-10 years before those roots completely decay. But if you plant a small tree, your small tree will work around that. So it's not a big deal. But when you grind it out, make sure they go deep and wide, because that'll give the tree a little time to get established before it runs into those existing roots. And hopefully by that time, your tree will have decayed enough to where it's actually going to be a great food source for the tree, for the new tree. So, all right. So that's actually a good question. So Lucas is asking if the new tree and the old tree can actually merge together and work together. It's very unlikely. If they're the exact same species, yes, it's possible, because you've probably heard about the wood wide web, and that's where roots will actually share information. They'll start transmitting electrochemical responses and signals to one another. Sometimes distress signals. Sometimes, hey, be free and enjoy yourself, multiply, or whatever. And so, yes, it's possible if they're the exact same species that they'll actually graft and start sharing a root system. By that time, realistically, the old tree's already decayed enough to where it's not going to matter. But is it possible? Yeah, maybe. I can see that happening. All right, we got to move on. Yeah, you're good. All right, so Caden's asking, female ginkgo tree at a park in Michigan. Fun fact, ginkgo trees are the only living member of their genus, family, class, order, division. Yes, they are, actually. Ginkgo trees are native to China and critically endangered in the wild. Yes, but some of my Dallas clients and Houston clients have them. Ginkgo trees used to grow in North America a few million years ago. I don't know. I wasn't there to tell you. Neither was anybody else that's alive today. Those are all speculations. By the way, carbon-14 is not a great way to date. It's a very unreliable way to date things. Ginkgo trees used to grow in North America a few million years ago. Growing ginkgo trees from seeds leads to better genetic diversity because of genetic recombination, increased chance for mutation, and genetic mixing between trees. It also is good because each tree has different genes. It makes the tree unique and special, unlike cultivars, which are genetically identical clones of the same tree. That's true. Absolutely true. I think it's cool for each tree to be special and unique and not just a carbon copy of another tree. That actually does create genetic diversity, which is a brilliant thing, by the way, and genetic potentiality as well. So you think of like the dog kind, and I believe in there was I think the Earth was young. It looks old and it's young, and that's very, very possible in my worldview. Sorry. I know that not a lot of people agree with that because all the cool scientists are like, oh yeah, it's millions of years, but it's like, no, y'all weren't there. Like, how do you know? Tell me. That's all like, I don't know. There's circular reasoning involved there. Humble opinion, doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that nobody was there. And also, I agree. Genetic variety is a brilliant, very important thing. So this looks more like you can get seeds online for this tree on eBay or Etsy for a few bucks. Ginkgo seeds. I think it's more of a selling proposition, but yeah, ginkgos are really cool trees, y'all. Like I said, I've got some Dallas clients that have them and some Houston clients that have them. I used to, when I'd be like get out in the field working and get tired, then I'd actually grab like some of the ginkgo leaves, chew on them, and you get like a, not a high, but like a burst of energy for sure. And I used to do that all the time with some of my clients. Yeah, it's like the coca leaf. You can chew on it and I didn't say that, Lucas. I didn't say that, Lucas. I'm not getting high out on the job. We get high in the tree, that's all. Yeah, so you can. I used to chew on it. It's a really bitter leaf, but they were actually very tasty. And yes, they're very easy to. Sorry, I hit the button again. To grow from a seedling, they are harder to get established, and they need really good drainage. Moist sand in the refrigerator, then after they're cold, stratified. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Caden. It's not a tree question, but it's really, really good good information there. And yes, ginkgo trees are great trees. Millions of years or thousands of years. I don't know. I wasn't there, but we can agree to disagree on that. But what we can't agree with, ginkgo trees are awesome. What's he saying here? So I saw. Okay. This actually happened to Gross Michael Banana and nearly wiped it out. This is a cautionary lesson we must listen to. Sure, ginkgo trees don't have any major diseases, now, but like the flu or any other diseases mutate, and eventually a plant disease will probably mutate to severely infect ginkgo trees by. Ooh, I love that question, JK. That's a really great question. Are there actually male/female trees? I thought most were both, and you're absolutely right. There's monoecious and dioecious trees. Mono is basically has male and female reproductive parts. You got your seeds and your flowers, right? And then you got dioecious. Some trees only produce seeds or only produce flowers, or produce only mostly seeds and modified flowers, or only flowers and modified seeds. So yes, you've got some trees are male and female. Cottonwood, ginkgo, drawing a blank. What are some other varieties? Actually, a lot of those are banned from a lot of tree protection ordinances in some municipalities because the female flowers produce that cottony type stuff. Like cottonwoods, you cannot plant in Dallas; it's illegal. Ginkgo trees will do that. Yes, they will produce. They're dioecious. Now you would think that it's kind of opposite. So monoecious, you would think is like one or the other. Mono, dioecious would be has both, but it's actually the opposite. Monoecious has both. Dioecious has male or female. So and there's a lot of varieties out there. Actually, let's look up some. Yeah, y'all ever hear about the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees? There was a song back in the whenevers, and that's what they're in reference to is male and female parts. This is just part of life, y'all. I'm not trying to be gross or weird. Ginkgo, poplars, that's cottonwood. Willows, oh, that's right. I forgot about willows. Mulberries, oh, yes. Oh, man, they're nasty sometimes. Junipers, yep. Hollies can do that. Box elders, date palms, yews, pistachios. No, I don't want to downloadable anything. That's what he said. What? Sorry, Lucas and I are having side chatter. Jeremy's asking. Uh-oh. No, did I click a button? Okay, I didn't click a button. I did. Dang it. I'm sorry, guys. Give me a minute. I got to reset here. I done messed it up, y'all. Where was I? That was June 26th or July 26th, I believe. Hey, speaking of cottonwoods, there we go. There's a poplar. We'll get to that here in a minute. Hello. My favorite is when the internet doesn't work. McFly, Bueller. He's got. I thought I told you to make like a tree and get out of here. And leaf. Make like a tree and head out, y'all. Oh my goodness. We're gonna have to do this in 2 sessions. This is getting crazy, y'all. Where are we? Oh my goodness. This is okay. That's good news. Okay, here we go. Jeremy's asking, any idea what this could be? It looks like it could be leaf scorch or maybe a watering issue. I'm not sure. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Tree located in northern Utah. Yeah, check your drainage. That could be Phytophthora too, or possibly some other type of vascular wilt disease. And it looks like you're chlorotic too. I'm not sure. Maybe some kind of maple, or that might be a red oak even. Ooh, that is a beautiful view though. I'm super jelly. Yeah, I think that's a maple of some sort. Maybe a shantung maple. Those are cool trees. Oh yeah, maple. That's maple. Okay, that's maple. Yeah, you got maybe a bacterial leaf scorch or a Phytophthora issue going on. Tell me about your watering. Yeah. I'm good with that root flare, actually. Yeah, that's normal bark. Yeah, it does look like you've had some kind of maybe squirrels or something scraping on the bark a little bit, but yeah, that's normal. It looks like a shantung maple to me. I could be wrong in that. The maples leaves typically look different. Somebody help me out here if y'all know what kind of tree specifically that is. But it's definitely in the maple family. Oh, that's just landscape fabric. Yeah, Jeremy, pull up all that stupid landscape fabric. It doesn't do anything. It inhibits water penetration and air penetration into the soil. You got these junipers, make sure to trim those back a little bit. To me, it looks like you've got a little chlorosis going on, which is typically an iron or manganese deficiency, sometimes a nitrogen deficiency, but it's not common. Nitrogen is about 78% of the air we breathe. What you want to do is get a little more oxygen to the soil. That's going to be really important. Looks like you got a rocky soil too. So you might actually be leaching minerals out of the soil. Send these guys a soil sample. We're going to make that, make sure to get like a really good baseline of what actually is in the soil. I think you've got some nutrient deficiencies there personally. And that could be from the sand, that it's just leaching out all that soil very rapidly, but I could be wrong there. Utah, I think, is pretty sandy. I hope that helps. We're moving on. Oh, here's a good one. Oh, what's up, Lisa? Cool. No, there's no hope. We'll get to that here in a second, Lisa. I'm sorry. Oh, man. I'm a jerk sometimes. It's not personal. It's just business. Okay, so this is going to help out, not so much in sandy soil. Check your salt levels, too. They'll give you a salt test on that when you reach out to SoilWorks. They'll give you a salt test as well. But liquid humates are going to be very beneficial, I think, in that case, because that'll desalinate it quite a bit. The humates will actually bind to the salt and prevent them from leaching out other nutrients. So I think that's what you got. Check it out and let me know. Send that soil sample off. See what they say. Send me the results. That'll be really helpful to us figuring this out. To me, it looks like you got a Bradford pear there, Lisa. Yeah, it's Bradford. That might be Aristocrat, actually. Ooh, that's a nasty soil. Lucas brought that up. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a nasty soil. You got some clay there. Girdling root. Looks like it's been hit 1,000 times with a weed whacker. Yeah, we call this what's the word for it? Mottling. Mottling. That's an anaerobic condition typically. So you got some soil compaction, you've got no oxygen, no air in the soil, and then you've got a tree that is very rapidly unalive. Lisa, I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Love you guys, but I think that's an unalive tree. Yeah, especially this time of year, that's not going to make it. I'd get rid of it personally and plant with a better variety too. Sorry, Lisa. Yeah, vertical mulching is going to help you out. Yeah, that grass is just completely anaerobic. Yeah, Mottling. I think that's exactly what you got going on. All right, so San Antonio, Texas. Is this oak wilt? That looks maybe like oak wilt, actually. Yeah, greenish is the color you're looking for with oak wilt. It could be hypoxylin too, though. What you want to do is send that off to Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. They're going to want to know too. So find their contact info on this particular website. That could be oak wilt. Yeah, that greenish color tells me maybe oak wilt. Ugh, that stinks. Cytosporum fugacarium or something like that. You know, I'm not a plant pathologist. I'm not an entomologist, but I do my best, you guys. I'm just an arborist. All right, high about a house at this point, about 6 to 7 meters distance from it. That's pretty close. Maybe 20 feet away. Taller than the house. When there's a little wind gusts, like in the later part of the video, it scares me a little. The trunk split into it about 1 meter above the ground. The stems are not very thick. All the soil in the area around the rocks was placed there by me to create a platform. Ooh, you don't need that platform. The tree roots will hold it all in. Looks like the wind's going in the right direction, to be honest. What you could do, originally lower in the lawn area, the trunk doesn't seem to be cracked. Do you think it's better to cut it to prevent it from falling on the house? No, I don't. Situation. Look at that, Lucas. Give it solid arborist advice. Tree risk assessment. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think it's unwise. Now, what you can do, I think it's unwise to really give a good opinion on the matter. What I can say is, yes, the tree's whipping around a little bit. Now, there's actually a lot of research on how to prevent trees from failing structurally. One of those states that if you reduce the canopy height by 40%, or excuse me, the canopy weight by 40%, you reduce the likelihood of failure by 50. Hold on. Numbers. Reduce the canopy weight, the upper canopy weight, way up in the very tips of the branches by 10%. You reduce the likelihood of failure by 40%. 15% equates to about 50% reduction in failure rate. And if you really want to get serious about it, you can actually reduce the canopy height. You got to do it right, though. Don't hire somebody to come in and top your tree. That's so bad. So bad. But you can actually reduce the canopy weight, or the canopy height rather, and that's going to drastically improve your chances of it making through the next storm. Because what's going to happen is that tree's going to strengthen the woody tissue. It's going to stop putting growth into those outer branches temporarily, allow the rest of it to catch up. And it's simple physics. You reduce the leverage, reduce the wind throw factor by those all that surface area on the ends of the branches, and you reduce the likelihood of failure. But yeah, I agree with Michael. I think it's unwise for somebody to opine on a professional capacity without an agreement. Tree looks solid based on the image in your description. I agree. Wow, that was unnecessary, Jeff. Why would you say that? You are a tool. I disagree. I know him personally. He's not a tool. If he is a tool, he's a very handy tool. I use a lot of tools, and some of them suck, and some of them are great. He's a great tool. Common for the top of pines to fail in high winds. What's that? Yeah, Tool the band was pretty good. I heard they did an instrumental one on it. I'm gonna sneak and creep on you, Jeff. What do you know? What do you know? Are you an arborist? Actually, maybe. You got a picture of a tree in there. Common for the top of pines to fail in high winds. Yeah, but that doesn't mean much. I mean, common for the top of pines to fail. It's common for any tree to fail in high winds. You get 200-mile-an-hour winds, every tree is going to break, period. Sorry. It's just how it goes. Why would you say that, Jeff? That's so rude. Don't do that. Don't be rude in my group. I don't like it. Anyways, yeah, I think you definitely need a tree risk assessment. But quite frankly, the tree looks in really good shape to me. The wind's blowing the right direction, but that doesn't mean it's going to blow the right direction in the next time around. Stems are not very thick. All the soil in the area around the rock was placed there by me to create a platform. You got to not do that. Actually, I want you to take away all that soil that you put there. So you've done a mulch volcano, and friends, don't let friends mulch volcano, yo. That's so bad. So bad. Don't do it. Rocks are gonna, yeah, that's a good point, Lucas. Rocks are gonna mess it up too. So you actually want to remove all that soil. Creating a platform does nothing except introduce decay. So you got to get rid of that. If anything, that's going to be the reason the tree falls, is because that decay has now, you've raised the terrain, now you've created an anaerobic condition, and that's not good. So yeah, you got to get rid of all that soil that you put down there. Spread it out. Just put some of that mulch and stuff on the grass down here. But you've got to take some of that away. That's no good. The platform will not help. It'll only hurt. Hope that helps, Anonymous. We're moving on. More Anonymous. Quick few questions. What are the white and green patches growing on the pine tree? Looks like lichen to me. Should I be concerned that mushrooms start sprouting on the ground? Maybe. Never seen them until this year next to the tree. Any recommendation on how to remove them? Don't remove the mushrooms. That's just the flower. You still got a whole plant below it. That doesn't help, and it only spread. Those are the fruiting bodies only. So the blooms, if you will, doesn't help. What's up? Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that concrete is. That's going to be a worse problem than starting putting mulching around the tree. Yeah, your root flares are buried. Okay, here's what we got going on, Anonymous. You got root flares that are buried. You got possible mushrooms coming from the roots. We got to identify them before we can really put a name and a diagnosis to it. And the other thing, the white and green patches, that looks to me like lichen. I don't think that's an issue, but I would be concerned about those mushrooms. And see if you can send me some pictures of the actual mushrooms, and maybe that would help. Yeah, JK's right and spot on. Crushing it, JK. You got no root flares. That's very, very bad. Adding that mulch is just burying it and making it worse. So you got to quit that. Get rid of the mulch you put down there. Make sure the root flares come out and they're exposed and look really nice. But that's not good. Hope that helps. Yep. No, I would think no, root bridging is when you've got new construction. So Lucas was asking about doing some root bridging because there's a ton of concrete around there. I think that's part of your problem too. You got no root flares, you got limited soil volume. What I would do is maybe consider amending. I got to have more pictures first of all, Anonymous. You gotta give me a little more context to work with. Mushrooms, I don't know. What you're going to have to do is identify those. So you can send it off to RAL Labs. You can send it out, find your local agriculture extension and send it off to them and identify it. Let's see. RAL Labs out of Allen is a great resource. They don't even know I'm giving them these resources, these referrals, but they're phenomenal. I've used them many, many times in the past. And they happen to be right in my backyard where I grew up. So check that out. You got to identify the mushrooms. The white and green, it's not a problem, but that concrete's a big problem. Those root flares being buried are a big problem. You got to get those problems resolved. So, yeah, root bridging, I don't think that would help. Anything new you plant there is going to work around the existing concrete, so it'll grow to its environment. Also, its environment may be very limited, so that may limit the tree's ability to thrive. Hope that helps. Moving on. Andrew's asking, needing some help / information / guidance. What's that? Oh, you're good, dude. No, not a problem at all. All right, planted this little pin oak last year at the beginning of the year. I'm assuming a rabbit cut the top of the main trunk. I've been giving it as much TLC as possible, but as you can see, the trunk appears to have unalived down to just above where the first branch starts. Oh, that stinks. Rabbits can be so rude on those new trees. Give them some carrots, man. Give them some real food. It appears healthy, but has not grown much this entire growth season. Any tips or recommendation to help it continue to grow would be greatly appreciated. Or if it's a lost cause, that would be good to know as well. No, you might want to create a barrier, though. You could put up some little temporary fencing. Looks like you put those those sticks there. Yeah. If it's under 2 feet, I planted it when my son was born, so I don't really want to do that. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah. Okay. What you're going to have to do, you're going to have to keep the bunnies away. Yeah. Just encourage the main leader. I agree. Yeah. Keep it growing. You, snip it back, the dead tissue, or excuse me, on a live tissue. Awesome info. Thank you. With clean bypass pruners, put the anvil, not sharp side, on the part to be removed. Yeah. So you want to make sure that the knife is actually cutting where you want it to be. I see that all the time. People flip it around and you'll cut it wonky and you'll leave like a stub. So you don't want that. The tree, I mean, it's so young, it's going to be able to resist, or it's going to be able to be okay with that. But let's see what else. I think that's, yo. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. Okay. So, Andrew, you're going to have to get some. I would leave all the green tissue you can on that tree right now. I would leave it as is and let it grow, let it thrive. The only one cut I would make is, I agree with Jeff. I would cut it right just above where that new branch is coming, or where that new little leaflet is coming in. And I'll just go ahead and draw it out for you too. That new branch is going to become the new dominant leaf. Some of these colored markers just do the worst at erasing. It just drives me nuts. All right, so right now you got a tree, you got a little branch that comes off here. This is like unalived, right? So what you want to do is come in here and you want to make that cut just right, just at the same angle that this tree is growing in. What's going to happen is this branch will then start to redirect and become the new primary sprout. Now, the main thing is you want to keep the bunnies off because obviously they're chewing on it. That's some good nutritional source for them. Everything looks okay. The pin oaks are okay. It's not my favorite tree by any means. They do tend to have their problems. They don't do nearly as well as like red oaks and things like that, but depends where you are too, I guess. Not grown much this entire season. Here's another trick you could do is throw some of this bad boy on there. Yeah, the bunnies. You gotta put a fence out. You gotta keep those bunnies off of there. They're just jerks. And they're also cute as can be. We had bunnies at our last house, like so many bunnies in my actually a couple houses ago. Nom 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 nom. That's right. JK. That's funny. Yeah, bunnies. Let them have all the perimeter stuff, like chew on grass. Go touch grass, bunnies. Not our trees that we love. I love that, Andrew. I love that you're planting that as a memorial tree. That's so cool. Oh, and hey, what's up? You're liking the comment. That means you're on here watching. So, hey, thanks for being here. And yeah, hope that helps, Andrew. Keep the bunnies out. They make some bunny spray. You can keep them out to tears them. Oh, cayenne pepper, buddy. Cayenne pepper. Put that down there, and they're gonna chew on it and then go find something else. Their noses are so sensitive. All right, so Jessica's asking, is this bad oak news for our other pin oak? We got more pin oaks going on. 2 years ago planted. I think this started from where the trunk was banded to a stake. Yeah, common, very common. That's not good. Ha! You got bunnies over here. I don't know what that one is. Is that the bunny getting scared off by a pellet gun? Ha! That's awesome. Okay, so when you do all three of them, it's like bunny ears, bunny eyes, bunny feet. That's not what I want. There we go. Let's see. So Andrew's on here. We're talking trees right now. Yeah, I don't even know if you know that I'm online right now talking about your tree. This is like live. Tens of millions of people will see it. That's not true. Yeah. Oh, he's just saying thank you. Yeah, you were very welcome, Andrew. I'm sure you'll see this. Hopefully you'll see this later on. And we have now spent way too much time on Andrew's post, so we're moving on, guys. Jessica, all right, we removed it soon after planting, but I'm afraid the damage is already done. I'm worried about this being a weak point of the main trunk. Thoughts? Yes and no. For now, it will be a weak point on the main trunk. I think that tree is young enough to where it will be able to grow over. It'll compartmentalize that wound. That's not a big deal. And every old growth tree I've cut down has these really crazy like ram's horned type decay points in there where you could tell 100+ years ago or whatever something happened very similar, and that's just a thing of the past. Trees are great compartments. That's what they do. Hope that helps. A pine tree is turning brown. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Lucas saving my bacon again. The root flare, got to unbury that root flare there, Jessica. Very important. We're moving on. Our pine tree is turning brown. I don't know what to do about that without pictures and stuff. Give me some more context, Michael. Give me some pictures. Give me some history, something to work off of here, but I really don't know how to help you, man. Oh, look at that. Okay, there we go. Should we be concerned? Yes, that looks like possible pine bark beetles. You're going to shoot up a picture of the base where the tree meets ground and get better advice. I might be able to answer this on an arbor, but is it leaking sap? We had one of ours. Drought stress, multiple years. Slowly recommend clearing the base of the tree. Any needles breathing and watering it multiple times. A good soaking throughout the year and fertilizing the tree. So far, it is working. Yes, and you could have some other. The thing is, pine needles are really waxy. So this is one defense mechanism that trees have, is they create a really waxy leaf, like pines especially. You'll get some pines that'll grow in the high deserts and the low deserts all over the world. And what they're doing, like Afghan pine is a really common one we see in West Texas. And people plant it because those needles are experts at trapping moisture inside of the tree, so they don't lose water from the leaves. Now, most deciduous trees with big leaves, they're not going to grow in the desert, right? Mulberries are an exception, but they also have a very waxy leaf, and that wax is actually trapping the moisture in. See, trees open up their stomates and they breathe and they respire, and just like you and I, when we talk or when we breathe, we're letting off gases and water vapors, and what that's doing is dehydrating us. So that's why it's really important when you wake up in the morning, drink a lot of water, because you've been breathing all night without replenishing it. Now you're dehydrated. You got to drink water. Coffee does the exact opposite, by the way. It's diuretic. It just makes you lose some. So you probably got, I don't know where you're at or what's going on. Let's see, maybe you, British Columbia. Okay. So you might be in the Canadians. Yeah, to me, that looks like you might even have some sort of pine bark beetle going on. What we can do is maybe even get on a digital arborist consultation. Where is it? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. You'll recognize that, Lucas. So this is just what we can do is maybe even get on a digital arborist consultation and figure out. By the way, for those of you that don't know, that is kind of my business. Is we basically do telemedicine for trees, and we get online and do exactly what we're doing here, but we take a much more in-depth, close look at everything, and just really figure out what's going on with your trees and what we need to do about it moving forward. Sometimes I say don't do anything, but just carry on with what you're doing. Sometimes it's like you got this and this, otherwise your tree is going to unalive. Sometimes it's like we're working with construction people. So the other day I was online with an engineer and my client, and we were going through. We actually moved the entire house. I just gave our engineer more work in order to preserve some like 50 and 60-inch trees. So, and that's actually in Louisiana. We might be able to send my guys out there and help them out ourselves too, but not too far. Anyone know what plant this is? Loblolly, maybe. We're gonna have to get yours, Gabrielle, later on next week, but join us next week. That'd be fun to. So look, needs approval. We got to approve that one, assuming it's not a scammer. Yeah, you got some sort of a pine. I don't know exactly what it is. Loblolly, maybe. Multiple pine trees in a bundle. Yay! Good answers, guys. So Anonymous is saying that. Hope that helps. Moving on. Wendell. Oh no, I've had a busy summer and just noticed this is a gift for my mom this spring. What can I do? We've gotten so much rain in Minnesota, along with some pretty scorching days. Oh, that stinks. Crab apples are beautiful in the spring. Yeah, too much water will show the exact same, basically, symptoms as too little water. So let's go ahead. Let me find my radial trenching video. Oops. Oh yeah, your root flares are buried too. I'm gonna say you probably planted it wrong, and that's not. I'm sorry, that's not personal. I'm just trying to be real with you. Might have been planted too deep. Sorry, I've been following Matt for a long time. These smaller trees that look like this tend to get it's toast diagnosis. Y'all, I'm gonna do a video tomorrow. We're gonna go over the scratch test because I agree. Yeah, smaller trees, it's so often for them to be planted wrong. This is just one little trick. Is this, we call it radial trenching. Wendell, that might actually help. Okay, no idea where you're from. Crab apples don't grow here in Houston, so we don't deal with those too often. But yeah, I agree. I think Christine's absolutely spot on. As usual, carry on, keep crushing it. You got root flares that are buried. You've got grasses that are growing right up against it. It's probably planted all sorts of wrong. You probably got it planted in a tiny little hole about the size of the root ball. you do have a great structure on that tree. I see the beginnings of greatness here. What you want to do is we call it the scratch test. Just take your thumbnail and just kind of scratch like the underside of the branch, not the top side that can cause permanent future damage, but on the bottom side, and just check it. If it's, is it green? Is it brown? If it's green, that means it's living. So carry on. Make sure those roots are getting oxygen. Do not water too much, and make sure it's draining out of there with that radial trenching. I think that'll go a long ways. So hope that helps, Wendell. Moving on. I'm about to call it, guys. I'm exhausted. All right, Megan, you've been commenting on some other ones. Wondering, thank you, by the way. Ooh, that's a cool little bur oak, I think. Yeah, it's bur oak. Beautiful tree. Wondering if this is blight on my bur oak. Oh, yeah, there you go. Bur oak. And then I'm wondering how to fix it and if the tree is in stress located in Alberta, Canada. All right, Megan, you got some buried root flares. I really got to do that video about how to expose the root flares, because there's a couple little tricks that I do that really go a long ways. Bur oak, by the way, is my all-time favorite tree. All right. Yep. Buried root flares. That's no good. If you see the one back behind it there, Megan, that's a good example of what you want to see. This is a bad example of what you want to see. It looks like that's a common problem on all your trees. I don't know if the terrain was raised or if when they were planted too deep, but something happened. You've got to expose those root flares. The other thing too is you might want to try this. What is that? What are you doing here? That's not what I want. Yeah. Where's my freaking... There we go. That's what I need. Yeah, throw some humates on there. I think that'll really help those bur oaks. I don't know what the soil's like in Alberta, but if it's a clay soil, it looks like a clay loam. Those humates will really help just to provide a healthy food source and growing environment for the mycorrhizal, both endo and ecto fungus, and those will help to pull nutrients. No, you got some sort of critter chewing on it. It's not a blight of any sort that I can tell. That looks like a skeletonizing, some sort of, it could be mites, honestly, but it could be like some sort of aphid or something like that, sucking pest that's just chewing on it. I don't see any blight. I see a pretty healthy tree with some insect damage. I think you're okay, honestly, but it wouldn't hurt to get rid of the root flares or the soil on the root flares and maybe even add some extra nutrient source for them. So hope that helps, Megan. Moving on. Catherine is asking, Catherine, update with more photos. I have a 30-foot, 25-year-old Lambert cherry tree. The size of it is making us uneasy. Don't worry about that. You know, I get that all the time. Like, my tree's too big. What? Define that, because trees aren't they're supposed to be big. You know, so it's what. Yeah, I love cherry trees. They're really cool trees. You know, we used to take cherry wood trees, and when we had to remove them, we'd actually mill up the wood. That stuff goes for like $12 to $15 a foot board. That's like the primo stuff. So if nothing else, you got like future very valuable wood. Yeah, live past 100 years. Absolutely. All the time. Yeah. Anyone who recommends removal should be not allowed back. Yes, I agree, Michael. Could you snap some pictures close to the base of the tree? Oh, man, that's got some beautiful root flares. That's gorgeous. Wow. Yeah, that's a really neat form. And I agree. I think that tree could easily... You got the beginnings of greatness here, Catherine. That's a beautiful tree. Compartmentalizing well. A little messy on the pruning wound. Yeah, that's a good point. That'd be a really neat tree to put a tree house in here in about 15 years, 10 or 15 years. Wow, what a cool form and structure to that tree. What you need to do is structurally prune that tree over the years. You need to keep it growing healthy and strong. You do have, like on this side, you can see you've got a branch that's coming straight up here. That's kind of competing for dominance. So what I mean by that is, you see how this one's coming way up. Now, in a perfect world, you'd have one branch stem and everything else branching subordinately off of that as it goes up. Cherries are a little bit different, though. They tend to have a more decurrent growth pattern where they'll grow out. And that's okay. That's normal. Yeah, not removal. Okay, so there are people saying, should we consider removal? No, I don't think you should right now. I think you need to structurally prune the tree. Looks like it's doing really well health wise. Maybe give it some extra resources periodically. Fertilizer, you don't want green fertilizer. Yeah, JK. Yeah, so that's a really good point. So cool, the root flares. I love it. I think that's wonderful. Let it grow, let it thrive. And if you need to, just keep widening that sidewalk and get rid of those stones around there. But no, I don't think you need to remove it. I think you need to structurally train it just a little bit, maybe every 2 or 3 years, and just keep it growing in the right direction. But you got the beginnings of greatness there, Catherine. That's a gorgeous tree. Yeah, guys, we're coming to I'm like mentally breaking down a little bit point. We're at 2 hour mark right now. We've been going hard on this for a minute. So let's maybe do two more. We've been right at 10 o'clock so far. 2 hours going strong here in 24 seconds. So let's do two more of them. Let's get some great questions in with a bang. There's Skyrocket. See what I did there? That's fun. And then we'll maybe do a follow-up video tomorrow night because it looks like we got a handful more. We got a bunch more, in fact. You got oak, red oak, quercus, firewood. All right, so let's check these out. Skyrocket trees times 4. 4 juniper skyrocket trees next to my sewer pipe. Will this be okay? Or should I replace them? And if so, with what? No, I think they're far enough away. Those skyrockets, they don't get a really robust root system. They'll get a root system just like the rest of the root systems out there. Think of it like a wine glass on a dinner plate. Is you've got like dinner plate here, wine glass here. Tree roots want to go out before they grow deep. That's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to get the maximum resources. Most of that is air, like we've talked about countless times. Y'all don't listen or what? Like, I think you're fine. I think you're fine. You've got some pipes. It looks like, I'm assuming that's where the pipes. Okay, sewer line pipes here. I think you've got 20 years or more before you really have to worry about that root plate, which is right around the trunk of the tree. That's the root plate is going to have those big, durable, supporting structural roots. And so I think you're far enough away from that. I don't think you have to worry about it right now. But if you're thinking super long term, yeah, and you got a retention wall here too, I think you're okay. Those are going to be small ornamental trees. I don't think you really have to worry about it too much, honestly, anonymous. But it may be worth keeping an eye on them. And but I think you're okay. And you do have the right type of tree where it's going to grow straight up. You don't have a lot of airspace issues in the near future. So yeah, I think you're in good shape, honestly. I think you did right. You planted it far enough away from the house, but far enough away from the retention wall as well. I think you're in good shape, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, this Humates Plus is going to help you quite a bit. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, we need to have some sort of, we got to have a better system for doing this. This is working and it's not working all at once. Yeah, get those. Those will help them get rooted in and established. This is another great one too. In fact, you can get rid of the soil and plant energy. That's a great product, but Ocean Harvest is going to have some things that'll help the root system develop strong. So moving on. Bill Jody Rhodes, Rab Kerr. That's a lot of names. I only have 3 names in my name. That's pretty cool. I wish I had 4. I don't have enough names, I think. Y'all try to come up with a name for me. We bought a red maple tree this weekend from Minards. I wanted something for an area. Another tree had been taken down, and since July is Demandy, Matt Latham. July isn't the best time to find great stock, so we got the best of what was left. It was missing several branches on one side of my husband. My husband assures me it will be filled in. Yes, it will. Yeah, I agree. I think your husband's right. It's Bill and Jody. That makes way more sense. You got 2 people on one account. Y'all are sweet. Okay, I'm sorry. That's really, I love seeing that when 2 people have 2 married folks or 2 couples or whatever have a joint Facebook account. I think that's critical. what's that? Two become one. Therefore, a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave, be joined to his wife. And yeah, I think that's really cool. Jen and I have separate accounts because I have this business stuff and she's got some business stuff too. More water, water, water. I don't know where you're at, Bill and Jody, but you definitely got to add a ton of water, but also make sure it's not flooding the roots. You want the soil to dry out. When you water, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how hot it is. Use a soaker hose. Just wrap it right around there and actually keep going, because what you want to do is you want to water the soil around it too, so the roots will find that water and they'll chase it. That'll help establish a root system. If it gets super hot and it starts unaliving from the tips, what you could do is do like a canopy cover of some sort during the heat of the day, and that'll help. I do see a car parked on the grass too, so watch out for soil compaction. That can do some serious damage. So with that being said, we're going to get to Ryan's probably tomorrow afternoon sometime. How many more we got, Lucas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 14. We got 14 left. Yeah, we can do that in an hour or less. That should be just fine. So y'all stay tuned. Probably around like maybe 3 in the afternoon tomorrow. We're going to hop back on and do another live stream and get to the rest of these. I'm exhausted. What are we at? 40 questions answered so far tonight. So we've been cruising and bruising. But y'all, once again, great questions. Again, it's so helpful to post just a ton of photos, even if you don't think that that it's necessary. It helps. And like I said, sometimes when you go to the doctor because you got some toe pain, they're going to look at they're going to look in your sinuses, they're going to look in your ears. And it's so important. Like, even if you don't think it's necessary, those pictures sometimes give me clues, because I might see something that y'all don't see, or one of these other guys might see something that y'all don't see. You thought it was unnecessary, but it's really not. So we did have a couple comments about that. Like, I don't see how that's going to be beneficial. Well, you're not an arborist, so like nothing personal. You don't tell your doctor how to do their job either. Hopefully, if not, I take that back. Some doctors are terrible. There's somebody said, somewhere in the world is the worst doctor, and the problem is they're probably booked tomorrow. It's so true. Arborists are no different. So make sure you're vetting it, and if you have questions, drop us a comment and add those pictures. Give us some great photos. Hey, thank you all so much for being here tonight. We're going to continue tomorrow afternoon, probably around 3 Central Time. And again, this is Ask an Arborist. We started this just as an outreach program to help you guys with your trees. I know there's so many questions out there, so much bad advice given, mostly by master gardeners and landscapers. Nothing personal, y'all, but you're not tree experts. That's exactly why we started this page. That's exactly why I started my company, Arborist on Demand. If you haven't checked it out yet, feel free to hit us up on the web if you do have questions. We love answering these questions. What I really love, though, is getting online and coming at you with a full digital arborist consultation. And what we can do is we can come up with a full game plan on how to take care of your trees. So I've been doing this since 2018. I just got tired of driving around all over Dallas, Texas. And so we decided to make it a business and help you guys out as much as possible. We've had a lot of successes. And quite frankly, I have not come across very many situations where I said, you know what, you got to have somebody on site, talk to this guy or whatever. But like I said, we'd love to help you out. If you want a closer look on your trees, feel free to join us on the web at arboristondemand.com. Feel free to reach out. We got a little contact form here or at the bottom of each page. And like I said, we're here to help. Love to help you out if we can, get your trees in a great place. And that's exactly why we do what we do. Because quite frankly, if doctors can do telemedicine, why not tree doctors too? And so that's what we're doing. Hold on. Yeah. So the doctors are doing telemedicine for trees. Quite frankly, we can do the exact same thing. We can go online and just look at your tree from afar, figure out what's going on with it, what we need to do to get your tree in a great place. So, hey, thanks again for all of y'all being here. JK, you're great being here. Christine, thanks so much for your answers and like great stuff, guys. We're really developing a really cool community. And I just appreciate you guys so much. Love you guys, and appreciate y'all being here. And join us again tomorrow, like I said, around maybe 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. And of course, we'll be back at it again next Thursday as well. Go over all your great questions from the week. And you know what? Quite frankly, this thing is automating itself. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Lucas saying if you ever consider becoming an arborist, you may be one of the greats. Yeah. I encourage more people to join this industry. We need smart people that are willing to get in there and really learn and really understand the trees that we care for, and help people out. It's a growing and thriving industry. And somebody said that tree care is where modern medicine was in the 50s and 60s. We got a long ways to go, but quite frankly, we've been talking to some awesome people in the industry, and it's a growing and thriving industry. So we'd love to have you guys join the industry as well. But like I said, feel free to join us tomorrow and next Thursday. We're coming at you with another live Q&A there and Asking Arborist and Arborist on Demand. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys next time.